Good. So, welcome. This is technically the third episode we've done. We have come up with a name. Do you want to reveal the name, Chris?
The name of the podcast.
Name of the podcast.
Henceforth, it's going to be Tea in the Dojo.
Tea in the Dojo.
Tea in the Dojo.
Because we are literally having tea in a dojo, aren't we?
Pretty much.
And we didn't want to just box it off into just karate, did we? We wanted some mystery. And I guess the dojo is synonymous with training and self-improvement, isn't it?
And karate in itself is a finite subject, perhaps. You could talk for karate for hours, but then there's sort of an end point.
Yeah.
And then you're left with the karate nerds.
Yes,
like
exactly.
You.
Kind of, yeah.
And yeah, we want to be kind to people and give them something a bit different every week.
Yeah,
But in line with karate.
Let's hope we can do that. So today we've got some oolong tea, which again is slightly differently prepared. I'm gonna measure some out first. I'm gonna guess today. Special spoon. I'm gonna guess today at. We're gonna go for. Yeah, we got 5.3 grams today. So maybe it's gonna be strong. Maybe it won't. Let's see. So this is my oolong tea. As you can see, it's kind of rolled. It's not like the whole leaf or pointy. It's all rolled into balls. And as the tea is boiled, as the tea is steeped, it's going to expand and look great. So let's have a look as it goes in. So again, pour in the water, but we are going to actually just drain this first one. If I was to put this in here, don't let it steep for long.
Do you normally have this sort of tea at home? Or
So
do you just sort of...
when I first got into it, this was life. No, really.
Daily practice.
Yeah. And it was great. It was like a meditative thing. When I had my friends over, we just kind of chill and have some tea and chat about life. That's how you know it's good, when the Buddha turns green. So let's go for another one. Recently, I haven't been. So that's.
Okay.
Just a minute,
It smells milder than the black tea.
Okay, yeah. I think this is a bit more fruity, flowery to me, but yeah, we'll see. So not drinking this so much recently at home. I've been drinking more English teas. This got me into English tea.
Right, okay.
Yeah, milk and sugar. I never used to drink it before. And
did you used to drink any, like, was it coffee or was it just
not really, to be honest. But once I had this, that's when I started to like develop a taste for other teas and other things. I was always more of a juice guy, a cold juice guy. And my wife, being Chinese, they don't really drink cold things. It's bad for healthy.
Yeah, okay.
So she would always drink hot water. Just better. I'm sure you've heard things like that. Like when you drink freezing water goes into the stomach, it just kind of like kills the bacteria. Like, yeah,
bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
They can't. The bacteria in your stomach don't like that.
Yeah.
So having like warm water is actually going to be way better for you.
Yeah.
So let me see how this looks now. So we washed it, poured it into the cups, and now this is the second brew. And if you can remember from last time, the colour of the tea was a lot orangey, ambery.
Yeah, I like that.
This one looks like, I think we produce a lot of it, don't we, every day? Looks a bit more like urine, doesn't it? However, it's going to taste beautiful, so let's see if I do this. And actually, here's another thing. You're meant to start from this side and work that way.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
I'd pour
So anti-clockwise.
Anti-clock, yeah, with the right hand, because
Okay.
imagine I'm pouring here, 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 here.
Okay.
It's going to work better than going here first and going here. I guess it's like writing, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
Well, the opposite of writing.
Is there anywhere in Birmingham you could go and have tea like this?
If you wait a couple of years, Chris, I'm going to open my own tea shop. There were after we got into this, it was an option. I really would have liked to do this, so...
Smells good. Smells like tea.
Mm.
Yeah, it does smell flowery.
Mm. This is, I was telling Chris, when you would go to China or even in your Chinese restaurant, they're going to give you oolong tea most of the time, unless you ask for something different. And this works really well when you're drinking like hot pots and other stuff. So maybe most people, they don't even know what a hot pot is.
That's like a bowl of hot food.
It is like a soupy thing in the middle that's being heated constantly. It can be spicy, it can be kind of normal flavour. And then you'll have all your dishes around the edge. You would put in your food for a couple of seconds or whatever, let it cook, and then you pick it out yourself and then eat it. That's a hot pot.
Right, okay.
And this is like perfect.
Is that traditional in China?
Super traditional, yeah. Especially around like Christmas time. Like in the winter, they like to do it. They love like dog hot pot from my province.
Right, okay.
Because dog meat is meant to be warming, and if you're into Chinese medicine, everything is either like wet or dry, hot or cold.
Okay.
So in the winter, when things are wet and cold, you want something that's like hot and dry.
Right, okay.
Dog meat is what I couldn't tell you. I need my wife to tell you because she's on it. She knows. And look now, see how big the tea's grown from what it was.
Oh wow! Yeah, okay.
It's now massive. So this
you
is.
You can see the individual
leaves,
and
yeah,
things opening up.
So I'm not 100% sure on the process, but I think they do like roll up the leaves like this, and then they collect it. But yeah, this is the tea. Definitely different from the dark tea, the black tea we had.
Yeah, it's definitely more chilled out. Like I'd want this on like a Saturday morning, Sunday morning
tea.
Whereas I'd want black tea before work, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like that sort of. The strength of it reminds me of the difference between like a dark roast and a light roast.
Okay, yeah, no, that's interesting.
But it's floral, so it's it's nice.
I know what you mean. It's
So how long were you in China for?
2.5 years in total. It was originally going to be a 1-year contract.
Okay.
And then, just the ghost. And then I enjoyed it so much that after 6 months, I was like, I want to extend my contract by another 6 months. So I made it an 18-month contract. And then I was like, I just want another year on top of that. And this was already after 6 months of being in India in Nepal.
Yeah.
So I was away for 3 years in total. I told my mum I was going to be away for 1 year.
She must have been like livid.
Yeah, pretty
missing
much.
her little boy.
Exactly. But I think things turned out okay. I'll do it again. And I listened to her. Met a friend the other day, and she was talking about how she's been wanting to go travelling, and this and that. She don't know what she's waiting for. She's not super happy in her life situation right now. If you guys are feeling like that, go travelling is the best thing you can do. It really is. And it doesn't have to look like you don't have to go to a third world country and wear a backpack and be all hippified. Just to get yourself out there and to experience something new and just to broaden your horizons. So good. I can imagine even if we went to somewhere like Wales or Devon or Scotland for a bit and just like that would just opens it out.
Yeah.
Opens out your perspective. So I'd really recommend, if you're one of those people that are like waiting for summer, don't just do it.
Yeah.
I can see. I think when I knew her like 10 years ago when we were friends, she was still talking about travelling and doing this.
Okay.
Life's happened and she hasn't made any you know, she's got these dreams and plans, and she doesn't have any commitments yet. And you know, yeah, that would be my advice. It's probably the best thing I've ever done. Really.
What sort of preparations would you want people to make? Because I think, like, if I was, so I'm married, I've got a kid, but if I was single or had a girlfriend, whatever, and I was like, cool, I'm going to go travelling to China, part of me would want to just rock up at a popular city and see what happened, but obviously part of me is like worried about that.
Yeah,
because that's the dream, is sort of like you rock up and you're like, cool, I'm in China now, I'm going to absorb everything, but reality is I need somewhere to sleep. I need a bit of money. What's the minimum?
The minimum
that you...
I went pretty minimum, you know, and that's not necessarily something to boast about. I had one bag for the whole year. I had a little bit of money. I'd made a Airbnb. No, it was couch surfing.
Yeah.
So before I went traveling, for the year beforehand, I was using couch surfing as a way to kind of create a bit of community, to learn about other people. They stayed on my couch, so that means I felt like I'd have a good reputation. They leave reviews. So then that means when it was my turn to go to India, I'd already have kind of had a little buffer. So I built up my kind of couch surfing profile. I don't know what's cool now though, what people use now, but so I had a couch surfing profile. So from the first or second day, I'd planned to be at a couch surfers for a week or so. And what else? I planned a couple of activities. I know I was going to teach at this place at this time. I was going to be here for this on that day. I knew in a couple months I was going to be up here doing this. Okay. Apart from that, I was on my own about 90% of the time.
Okay.
There was my maybe India journey was maybe not that typical. I rocked up in a lot of cities, like no foreigners, no nothing, on my own, no language skills, and just had to survive. And for me, that was scary, but I managed it.
What did survival look like? Was that I need to find a place to sleep, I need to eat?
Like I remember walking into one town. I arrived there like 11 at night, just walking around in black. I ended up making it to this bridge over a train track, and there were just like guys lurking on this bridge. I walked past them, I was like, yeah, this ain't it. Walked back the other way, walked 50 meters. Then one of the guys comes up to me, hey, can I come back to your hotel room with you? It was like a gay bridge.
Why?
Where they come and lurk, because it's, I think, frowned upon there. So they have to do it in secret. And little old me being proposed by, he must have been younger than me, this guy. Like I was, 21? Okay. He could have been the same age. That was an experience. Either way, I was like, no, thank you.
Did it click straight away that you're like...
Yeah, it did. I think he might have said something. And, you know, then I was like, no, thank you. See you later. Do you want me to help you get a hotel? No, it's okay, thank you. I'll go. And so I just went into walking down the road at 11 o'clock at night. Everyone's like, who's that? I can see the fresh off the boat guy. And, you know, I've found somewhere to sleep, stayed there. In the morning, you go out and look wherever you can for food and point at things and say, I want this and that. It was hard work. But I met some great people actually through that.
Yeah.
So when you kind of leave the chances to the universe, to God, whatever you want to say, I was okay.
I guess as long as you're a good person and people can see you're just trying to survive and get by.
I feel in India, people, all they wanted was my money.
Yeah, okay.
All they wanted was my money. And this is what I was a nice person, trusting and all this. I was a nice person. Everyone in India, all they wanted, everyone. I shouldn't massively generalize. My experience was that everyone wanted my money. And like, I got run over by someone on a moped somewhere in the mountains in India. I got hit, bam! And I don't know what was happening. The guy's like, you need to go to hospital, which is a scam to start off with.
Okay.
Because I think they charge you ridiculous amounts. I was like, nah, no hospital. No, you need to at least go to the police station. I was like, all right. They took me in to the police station. I was there for half an hour, this and that, I don't know. They gave me some money, which I didn't want. I got like 3,000 rupees, which I think is about £30. And so they gave me this money, thanks. And I had like guys all with me who just want to get involved for the hell of it. Then the ordeal was over. They put me back in the van. Someone drove me up. As soon as I got into the van, turned around, so you owe us 500 rupees now. What? And there's a van full of it was a big minivan, 5 guys in there, Indian men in there. You owe us 500. Whatever, have it, take it, see you later, guys. Yeah. That was the only reason why they helped me, so they could get that money off me. And I just pitied them, to be honest, because if that's how they make their money, is just by leeching off other people, it made me quite resentful, to be honest. And
it's a small amount as well. It's like you're really going to go that far to get that much out of.
Yeah, well, maybe to them that would have been like so like 500 might have been like £5 at the time. Okay. So, how much would that have bought me or them? Probably them a lot, maybe. Okay. But if that's how they want to live their life, yeah. But things like that just made me very resentful of the situation. I was somewhat naive. I had no people to help me out, no connections. So I didn't put myself in that best situation. Going to China, however, it's not about the money. They will buy things for you to look good.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? They will 装逼, just like hang out with a foreigner to look cool, pay for the foreigner's meal to show you how they. But that's in Chinese culture anyway, and that took so much pressure off. Like if you're going out with an Indian guy, I met some Indian guys in Bijapur, a Muslim city there. We were cool, they helped me out, and it was time. They came up to my hotel room. I just met all the 5-6 guys there, hanging out. They're ordering beers, ordering food, bill time. Everyone looks at me. Looks like I'm paying the bill then. Right, that expectation, that's a horrible feeling.
Yeah, okay.
Now, not everyone in India was like that, and actually my couch surfers that I met were the coolest people there. Okay. They were legit. And I had a great time with them. So I would recommend trying to get to know locals through Couchsurfing or whatever people use now. Even maybe Airbnbs would have been cool. But
how important is it to know the language before you go there? Before you get
I
there?
started to learn Hindi before going to India. I got to India, no one spoke Hindi. They all speak their language of each province, county, whatever. Yeah. So although some things were useful, it was hard. If you were going to China or somewhere and they're going to speak Mandarin or whatever, language is really important. And it was the biggest fun for me to learn that and use that. Okay. And actually, I'm going back to China in January. The thing was thinking earlier today, I can't wait to talk to people in Chinese again and like have fun and just ask.
Is that because of their reaction, or is that because you just feel good? Okay.
My brain, it tests me. Talking can be so easy. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But when I've got to construct a sentence in another language, make sure all my tones are right, make sure my pronunciation's good, it's a different kind of test. Yeah, okay. And I like that. I like that for me, so. Yeah, wow, travelling talk. Go travelling, everybody, it's good. Yeah, good, so should we move on now? We've got our topic of the week.
Topic of the week is what makes, it's a bit broad, isn't it? It's what makes a good karate school. Yeah. What makes a good karate school?
And we wanted to, when we were discussing this, we talked about what like martial arts. Does it apply to like martial arts school? Does it apply to any kind of school? I even mentioned like if you were to go to yoga, do the same things that make a good karate school also make a good yoga school. So we're just trying to
and also what defines a good karate school. Yeah. So not necessarily just if you could put it down on paper, would it be the amount of black belts you have? Would it be probably more like how long people have been there? It's always a good. If I knew a lot of people have been there for years and years and years and years, I think I automatically think must be a good school.
Yeah,
Must be a good school. And what makes a good normal school? You know, normal schools in the UK measured by Ofsted, outstanding, good, need, requires improvement, that sort of thing. But yeah, what do you think makes a good karate school then?
I'm gonna say it's maybe starts with the sensei. I mean, think about this. The students are a reflection of the sensei, I think. And if you've got a good sensei, you're going to have good students on the whole. How do you know you've got a good sensei? How do you know that my dad was legit and I was legit and my brother was legit?
That's a really good question. Because I would say your dad was the person who it took the least amount of time to think that, okay, he's legit.
Okay.
There's a way he sort of walks and talks, and he's very natural. As soon as he's, it's almost like as soon as he's got his gi on and he's in the dojo, it's like cool teaching mode. And the way he talks to everyone, he's very natural. It's a really difficult one to quantify, but I wanted to listen to him.
Okay.
And I think you and your brother as well, definitely. But for him, it's almost like your dad can be a little bit philosophical. So you come to karate class, and then the first thing you are introduced to might be a quick lesson on the value and the importance of basic moves, or there'll be a story that links back to why it's just as important to come to classes as a white belt as it is a black belt, or something like that. And he seemed to do it fluidly and without thinking about it. And obviously that's down to experience, but that was like first impressions were good.
Okay.
And I think similarly, I've probably been in situations where you're not with good teachers. Or, for example, when I was learning to drive, I had a driving instructor for a little bit who I'd say wasn't that good.
Okay.
And it was only until I then had a driving instructor who was brilliant that I realised what the other guy's faults were.
Yeah.
And he was probably too much by the book. You know, he'd sort of have like a teaching plan and this is what I'm going to cover in the first 5 minutes and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where the big benefit of listening to your dad or you or your brother is that there is no plan, and we sort of believe that what you're teaching us is right, and so the class, the lesson can take any angle, but it all feels right.
Yeah, okay, I know what you mean. I think the first thing what you mentioned about dad, it's like he lives being a sensei, and I think for my dad that is wherever he goes, he is a karateka. He is a sensei or whatever, and it's not like he puts on the gi and he turns his karate brain on. Even when he's everywhere, he's got his karate brain on, to be honest. And I think that's what makes good karate as well, is it's not something you can stop or ever. You kind of become it, or it becomes you. And the principles of good karateka or whatever are the same and should be constant, I think. So for me, my dad has got that presence. You can tell he knows what he's talking about. I think he upholds the image of whatever we think a sensei should be. Yeah. And me and my brother I guess we're just trying to follow in his footsteps. When you think of a sensei, you don't necessarily think of a 29-year-old guy with dreadlocks, do you? Yeah. I guess we're developing slowly, and he's...
I think the word sensei is synonymous with like wisdom. And that's maybe just wisdom. And I think your dad comes across as being quite wise because he talks openly about real life situations, and almost everything we do has a reason for it, and he's quite happy to explain it, and he explains it well. Yeah. So it's not like, here's the move we're going to do today, this is useful in this situation. It's here's the move and here's how you need to perform it, and it's with feeling, and it's like when we shout out the move before we do it, all of a sudden it's like that takes 5 seconds, and all of a sudden my strikes feel like 10 times better, and it's like, how did he do it?
Yeah. No, he's good at that, at, like hyping up people in a way, and like just by saying the move and saying it confidently, you're gonna bang it. That's how it looks, and I think it. Like just like how you can look at someone and see if they're a good karateka or this. It's all one, isn't it? The way I can introduce, hello, my name is Jumoke. You can tell that I might even have good karate from that. If I can, hi, my name's Jumoke, like this. Everything else in my life is gonna look like that. And I think that's, even from saying the move, my dad's trying to get that mindset rather than and what do they say? Spirit first, technique second. And that's what it is. It's the spirit. So
that's what I got from your lessons. Though, mostly, is the spirit is where we meditate at the start of class for no longer than 2 or 3 minutes. It's still, that is the first time coming to class is like, oh, this is a bit spiritual.
Yeah.
And then it happens class after class, and you're like, okay, this is quite important. And I think you and your dad and your brother each have a bit of. It's almost like this is what you guys hold closest, sort of thing. Like yours is very much the spirit and the form, and your dad is the sort of like the ultimate teacher, and then your brother is like, I won't say the ultimate fighter, but he's got a fighting spirit almost. And watching him light up when he starts to talk about kumite, or
my brother's a technician.
Like he'll show. Like for a couple of classes, it's a gyakuzuki, and a sort of getting low and reacting before they can react. And when he gets into the groove and gets excited about it, you can tell straight away, and it makes me want to be excited about it. And you each have different things. So
that's an interesting one you mentioned, because I've got certain classes. I just mentioned how students are a reflection of their teacher. Started a new class on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and so I watched that class grow from 1 student, then it had 2, then it had 5, then it's got 10, now it's got 15, 20 people in. And because I was able to like nurture them from such a small number to getting bigger, they have that same excitement and the same like attitude that I have with it. And that is like my best class of the week, just because we're all on that same level and page, and we're just basking in the joy of what we're doing. And them are maybe 2 of my best classes in the week, because we're all there for the right reason, and I think they buzz off my energy and my passion for it. And that's what makes it a good class. And I think it comes from first having that sensei with the passion and the knowledge.
How do you deal with the new students that come in? So that there's a concept in like more the corporate world about forming teams, and it's 4 words. I don't think I can remember them in order, but it's forming, storming, norming, performing. So your team forms.
Let's do that again. Forming, storming, norming, performing.
And I believe that's the right order. It's middle 2 might be swapped around, but I believe that's right. So when I became team leader in my role, so I went from a team of 7 or 8 people into being their leader. Obviously there's that weird bit of like, now I need to manage you. But what this framework helped with is almost like the 7 stages of grief or whatever. It sort of shows you that in your position, these things are going to be normal, and these are the challenges you've got, and this is what you're good at. This is what you should do. So for a forming team, it says, if your team's formed, let's say you form a brand new team class, you're supposed to be a bit rough around the edges. You're not supposed to be as good, so don't worry. And then the next stage, when you're storming, it's almost like you've got to the point where everyone's working really hard. Everyone sort of knows what they're doing now. but they're storming, they're running around, headless chickens. They might be getting results, but they're not focused. And then they rein it in a bit, norming, which is you realise as a leader you've got to rein it in a little bit, put some sort of structure in after you've had the storming. And then the performing bit, which is everyone's on the same page, everyone knows what they're doing, but when everyone puts in the maximum effort, you get maximum results as opposed to maximum effort and not so many results. So how do you deal with, like a new person coming in to potentially disrupt, say, a team like that?
It's hard. I just had a group of 3 new guys together, and I had them in my class, in this Thursday class last night. For new guys, I feel you can't give them too much attention at the start because they won't be able to do anything really. And if every time there's a new guy, we had to completely break down Gidambarai and Oizuki and Chokozuki. Obviously, I give them the basics, making a fist, we're going to do this and explain. But I have to let them be a little bit stormy at the start. And that's okay. I'm just letting them do their thing. And then once I can see after a few weeks it's getting better, it will click for them and they'll start to understand what the stance means and the punch. That's when I can start chipping away and making them look good. So I guess for the first few weeks, it's just about them being there, turning up, absorbing as much as they can. And then once I see that commitment level and they're worth working on, then I can start chipping away and like refining. And then once they've been refined and they know what I expect, then they can just kind of be left free to do their thing. Like I feel like with you, I don't think I gave you too much attention at the start. I made sure that you kind of knew what we were after. But I think now you're to a point where I can say we're going to do this and this, and you've got enough basics and foundations just to do it. Yeah. No beginner comes in and looks good.
No.
Yeah, and if I slowed it down for the beginners, it wouldn't have been high grades are going to get bored. So it is a hard balance to do. The other day I had a class of 20 people. 5 of them were brand new girls, giggling teenage girls. That was when a quarter of your class is new, giggling girls, that makes things difficult.
Yeah.
You need a right proportion of like new and experience. Yeah, where am I going with this? I'm not sure, but yeah, it is a very hard balance, and you just have to take it each class by class, really. Yeah. So,
do you think with females in particular they're more difficult to teach because you're male?
No, not really. I think there's a number of them, the age of them, and they're at they're at a particular age where things are a bit giggly, and they're coming and we're all ki-eyeing and we're moving in this way. So it's just a bit weird, to be honest. I wouldn't say between the genders, I don't really find anything particularly different, to be honest.
You don't think the girls are maybe better teachers, or the boys are, the sort of the normal assumption is like the boys just want to fight and are better at fighting and try harder, and the girls maybe find that they're better at catters and teaching.
You come to my Monday class, most of the class is girls. Tuesday class, I think heavily girls as well. So to be honest, I probably teach more girls than boys.
Okay.
Some of the girls, I think, got some of the head look good, better, stronger than some of the boys. It's the spirit. It's the spirit first.
That's been my impression. That's purposely asking it in that way. But yeah, that's been absolutely been my impression. It doesn't matter whether they're boys or girls. But I think seeing a strong female is an unusual thing outside of the dojo.
Yeah. And this is what makes me so happy. I remember, like, particularly my last grading, I had like a female student. She's only 15, 16. She was, the word was beautiful. What she was doing, the way she performed, her head was up, she was sharp and strong. It was beautiful to look at that. As you said, you don't see necessarily many girls like that on their like highest level, performance level. Maybe you see it more now, but what I saw and what I'd helped to create was beautiful. And I think that is great. Some of the boys, I don't get that feeling with the boys. Oh, he looks beautiful. It looks a different adjective. I'm not sure but yeah, to see some of the girls perform, I just it's really nice to see them like that, so physically capable, and I just help prove that to themselves, maybe.
How do you deal with the different levels of then black belts and white belts in the same class? So I would imagine from the outside looking in, that's like teaching year 7 and year 11 in the same class.
Yeah.
Almost.
Maybe with the karate, when we're doing something, a black belt should be able to work a block at the level of a black belt, and the white belt works it at their level. And I think a good black belt would take any kind of training as training. Do you know what I mean? I think when you start to think you're too good for something, you've lost. You're on the downhill path. So you need to. I think a good student is content with every kind of work. I can work my stance and this and that and still get a good workout. I'm just working at a higher level. A lot of the new stuff I've been developing, making myself better. I just looked in the mirror. I started with Kion Kata, right? And I was like, yo, let's feel my hips more. Let's work this stance more. I never thought I'm too good for this. And I think that is a really important thing for high grades. A good high grade will work hard doing whatever. Pacing the class, you're not ever going to make everyone happy. So yeah, there's always going to be some people that find it too fast or too slow. But I think dealing with it and just them going through the motions and trying to put up with it is important. Yeah.
How do you struggle to keep things, where karate is so traditional, can it be a bit difficult to keep things fresh sometimes? And again, I'm asking this question on purpose because the last class
was
here
different
on Wednesday.
Yeah,
was different.
Yeah,
and it was good.
There are traditional. I don't really like the terms of traditional karate
or perhaps what I picture as traditional is like we start with punching on the spot.
Yeah.
And then that's what I picture a Japanese old school dojo to be. We practice 1 or 2 moves for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the uber traditional.
And yeah, that is what my dad and what my mum would say is traditional. There are many sides, I think, to everything, isn't there? I would say what we did on Friday, yeah, you could say it wasn't traditional, but actually being physical and working with grabbing people and taking them down and move, to me, why couldn't that be traditional? Yeah, we got to try and put a spin on everything, and I don't know. I wasn't there back in 100 years ago, so I don't really know what their training looked like. But would they have done something like that exercise? I can imagine them doing something like that. Do you know what I mean? I was watching, was it Enter the Dragon the other day, the Bruce Lee film, and every time they had people training karate in the thing, all they did was chokazuki. Like every clip, like that's all they did throughout the whole film. Okay. I never saw one other thing. Is that traditional karate? Yeah, it could be. It could be. Was it good karate? I don't know. Did they just do it for the film? I don't know. But I don't know. Yeah, we should be mixing it up and trying to use different aspects. But karate is this. It's karate. When you start saying traditional karate, you've just got a slice of it. Or you say sport karate is just a slice and kata is just a slice. It should be like this.
The complete
Yeah,
pick the,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think the more barriers you try and put on it or separations, I don't like that. I'd rather include the throws into it, and include the locks into it, and include the fitness into it, and include the games into it. When I say games, I mean what we did on Wednesday with the getting past each other.
Yeah,
I would say it was a game, but it wasn't a
Yes.
game. It was an activity
Yeah.
that we improved. So yeah, you do have to mix it up, and it is hard. But yeah, to say traditional or not traditional is a weird one. For me, going back onto what makes a good karate school. Should we? Because we talked about the sensei, I guess, as the thing. How about something like the facilities in the dojo? Because we're lucky here and we have a big matted area for our dojo. Is that necessary for a great karate school?
I don't think you can argue that it's necessary, but in this day and age, I would say in this country, in this environment, whether you're in an affluent area or not, I think parents expect the best for their kids, let's say, or people have a certain expectation, whether that be with the money they're paying or what it might be. I think part of that package is the quality of the facilities, and it's hard to, if you guys can justify the value of pay this much per month for these classes, but your guys' teaching really exceeds or makes the quality of the dojo a null point, then it's fine.
Yeah.
I would say being here, it's a luxury.
This is a luxury, I think, for most karate schools in that I know of. It's church halls, school halls, and community centres, and to have a karate centre that is just karate at the dojo. I think we are lucky. There's not many like this.
I mean, the fact that we can practice, I can take someone down, I can drag someone to the floor without actually worrying about it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's worth a lot. You wouldn't say it's worth money, but it's like that's freedom sort of thing. That's a unusual thing to have. And I see, you see clips of people practicing in Japan, and I can't say I've ever really seen much of a matted area. It's always wooden floors, and I don't know if that's traditional or not, but that is.
I guess it would be.
I guess where you're, I suppose, more traditional karate, depending on the style, but it tends to be punches and kicks and not so many throws.
Yeah.
Maybe there was never a need for. There was, that was always low on the priority list.
Well, then what's traditional karate? Because
or is it? How much value is there in traditional karate? Because I would say that, I want the experience that those guys had 100 years ago or 100 plus years ago in Okinawa. But
and if you ask them guys, and maybe even certain sensei now, they would have said it. Like karate, I've heard, is the original MMA. Because they were using, it came from Okinawa and they had their own wrestling system already. So that's close quarter wrestling, taking down. They're using the throws with that. And then come along with the Chinese fist, the Chinese boxing, more strikes. So you've got like the striking, you've got the throws, you've got the wrestling. To me, that's what I see as traditional karate, not just punching on the spot. But I guess it's for what you why you come to karate. Are you there to become just fitter? Are you there to become a better person? Are you like Japanese culture? It depends like your goals really. And I think maybe because there's so many teachers, we've got 3-4 sensei here. I guess we try and cover the most we can. So we kind of give it that complete side. Whether some of it is traditional, whether some of it might be more MMA, whether it's some more, just kata and just whatever. So it is that variety. I think if you were to go into a karate school and you see the floor is wooden and it's a small club or whatever, I don't think you should write it off straight away. I think.
I'd be looking out for the sensei.
Yeah, I
If he
think.
walked through, like if I saw your dad walk through the door, it could be any, obviously yourself as well, but for the sake of argument, like if your dad walked through the door and it was a tiny little room and 6 of us can barely fit in there, and then he walks in, I'd be like, this is the best. Almost regardless. There's not much you need to do to be able to practice karate, which is one of the nice things about it.
Exactly. And, karate was developed at a time when they weren't allowed to, I think we mentioned the last one, they weren't allowed to openly practice defending themselves. They had to kind of do it in secret, and this is why they use a lot of like farming weapons. Right. A part of the karate is also using weapons, and they would use farming weapons, and they're I'm just practicing how to cut down rice and stuff. But actually, and with the katas as well, it was all a way for you to practice your self-defense without looking like you're practicing your self-defense. The worst thing is to have an armed populace that are willing to defend themselves. Yeah. We see the same kind of arguments now, with America and firearms and stuff. And we touched on this on our last podcast about what happens if everybody did karate as like military service every week. They had a thing, and what I wanted to say was, if everybody is armed with their karate, that de-incentivizes you to start a fight with someone else. Just like if everyone's got a gun in a room, I ain't going to pull out a gun and shoot someone because everyone else has got a gun.
It's the quickest way to get shot.
Exactly. So not that I'm necessarily for guns, but if everyone has got some level of martial art ability, that I think then would reduce the amount of fighting that would happen. I'm not sure how that links into the karate school, but it was a thought when I was watching through last night. Anything else of how you could judge a good karate school?
Well, the other side then is the students.
Students, yes.
What if your students are an advert for Zenshin? What do you want them to be like outside of the dojo, or even in the dojo? What's important? That you obviously what you're passing on to them, but what do you want to pass on to new people that come into the school?
I think ideally they would be the same person in and out of the dojo. Okay. There shouldn't be a separation. I think if for a real someone that's serious with it, karate is not just a thing you put on or wear. You become it. And we're not perfect. I'm maybe not always the best example of a sensei or karateka. However, it's that aspiration to become something more, and using the karate as a foundation. The students are such an important part, because I've got like my Wednesday class, which I don't particularly enjoy. That's the one you happen to come to. Yeah. I think it's got better actually recently, definitely. The students can make and break a class, and if they don't want to work, no matter how much blood, sweat and tears I put into it, can't be bothered. And so you do need a good set of students. However, I guess it's my job as sensei to nurture the good students and to bring that mentality about. And like in my Tuesday and Thursday class, I've nurtured that mentality of the passion for practicing karate. I think the Wednesday class, when I started it, they were an already established class with a different instructor and they wouldn't maybe have their own ways, and maybe they work great for that instructor. And then I come in and I'm expecting different things. I'm working them in a different way, and then maybe their mind ain't on it. Students, it's all about the students, really.
What can we do as students, and students wider, who don't come to Zenshin? What can we do as students to make life easier for you when it comes to attending class? If we want to absorb maybe the most information, or if we want to have a good time, we might come in and I might see a friend, and that might my reason for coming to class might be because I get to see my friends, or something like that. But what is it that you want students to pay attention
Well,
to?
I mean, you just said it, and I'm going to use this. If my cup was already full and you come to karate with your cup full of tea, and you come to karate, yeah, and I can't add anything to your cup because it's already full, that is the worst thing. You need to come to karate with an empty cup every time, no matter what grade, what belt, how old, how much experience. Once your cup is empty, then you can start learning. And a class full of students with a full cup is horrible. And I think that's the biggest, the most important thing to a good class or good student. And I think you could take that into every life situation. I'm sure maybe you are having your meetings as a team leader. If you've got all these people that think they know better than you or whatever, it's, yeah, it's hard. Was it Ray Dalio? He had a interview with P Diddy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I was just watching something, and he was saying, what was he saying now? Being like assertive in your own opinions, but being able to entertain other ideas. So I'm not telling you to forget completely how to do your Chakozuki, but if there's no space to grow that Chakozuki, then there's no point. And so, although we must be kind of confident in our own ability, we need to be humble enough to take on new information.
Okay.
And that's probably the biggest thing I see. My biggest improvers are the ones that pretend that don't know anything. Who was it? I can't remember who went to the Oracle of Delphi, and they said, Oracle of Delphi, who's the wisest man in the whole world? And the Oracle said, Socrates, because he's the only person that knows that he doesn't know anything, and therefore he's the wisest person. And that is it. That is it. Who was it? Alexander the Great that did that? I can't remember. But yeah, that beginner's mind is the most important thing, I think, for students to come in to come a dojo. And if you've got students that think they know everything, my brother, how much should I say this? He has a class on Thursday at a particular club, and he doesn't particularly like it because he's got all these black and brown belts that basically want to come to the class to do their own thing. They kind of waste their time. And I think to be a black belt and to not be humble and not to have any room for growth is such a shame. So whether you are doing whatever you're doing, you need that beginner's mind. To be honest, that was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I don't see that from the classes I come to, but how do you fix that? You get someone who thinks they know quite a lot. It's probably easier the lower grade you are. Like if I think I can do a wicked block, you'll quickly show me that I'm too slow or too weak.
Fail them.
Okay.
Fail them. People might have big, I've heard this with fighting as well, in the UFC, they have big egos or whatever, and they think they're wicked, then they get battered by someone. That knocks the ego down, and you have to humble yourself. And so these people that, the brown belts that I've been telling how to kick all this time, they come to grading, I fail them. Oh, now I've got to rebuild myself. We touched this last podcast with being bullied. You have to hit rock bottom and have your ego drop to then you can start going, how can I rebuild myself better? So sometimes you have to fail, and just stringing people along and trying to protect their feelings isn't actually doing them any good in the long run. No. So you got to get knocked back. Yeah. I guess everyone has to get knocked back. And has everything you've ever done succeeded? No. You have to fail, and that's where you can do. And look at this, general election happened yesterday. Yeah. And what did Jeremy Corbyn? He said he's gonna. The word was reflection. So he lost to a big landslide, and he's now gonna sit back and reflect on how he did it. If he just this is that. No, we're not wrong. You're not gonna learn anything. Yeah. And let's hope that he can reflect on what it is. And I think that's how people grow and get better, to be honest. Yeah. So, student mindset is a big one.
Yeah. So we've talked about Sensei's students as well, sort of being like the billboard for the school. Again, I'd argue that the facilities don't matter too much. I think you can.
No.
I think I could picture being taught in almost any environment.
Yeah.
As long as the
We're
people around me also think we're all on the same page.
Yeah, don't go for a club because of their facilities. However, a club with facilities is definitely a bonus. Maybe it's an indication. The fact that we've got to this size shows that maybe there's something we're doing that's right. Maybe. Maybe it just shows that we've made lots of money, but I don't believe that's true. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of the dojos who have got loads of money. They've probably got better facilities than us. It doesn't mean that their karate is any better.
That's a good point. What, either me as a parent or me wanting to start karate, what should I be looking out for if I'm, fortunately being in the West Midlands, I can go onto Google, search karate, and you guys come up, and there aren't many other options, and that helps the decision, especially when, obviously I'll say this, but you guys are clearly doing a really good job. But if I've got a lot of choice, I've maybe only got different price points. I see that one's offering a certain package.
That was the first thing I was going to say. Don't go on price.
Yeah, okay.
The first thing people call up and they go, what's the cheapest? Now, if you want a good phone, you don't look for the cheapest phone, do you? No. Yeah. But they want to have the good karate and they want to learn to defend themselves with this and that, but they want to pay the cheapest price. So if you're serious about what you're doing, it's not about price.
What about value then? I guess you could translate that into I as a parent, I want the best value. And
exactly.
Let's say you've got two closely matched clubs. One's £60 a month, one's £45 a month. How do you demonstrate that you guys are giving better value? Because I believe you're giving better value.
I also believe it. I think that's why we're not the cheapest club, and I think
it's certainly not the most expensive though.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning. It's not like you're charging high premium prices.
Actually, there's a lot of clubs that will. If a big one for me is if you're paying up front, well, that's even worse now. I'm sorry, I probably got my dad calling me. For me, a red flag is like, pay this month this much now. In 2 years, you'll get your black belt. Red flag.
Okay.
You're paying for your black belt. You are not owed any kind of belt for this and that. If they say pay up front for 2 years, because when you pay up front, you're going to be more committed and all this. You're going to make sure you go to those lessons. That's okay. Once it's like you're going to get a black belt by this date, just turn up to class. Nah, don't do that. Yeah. Honestly, if I was a brand new parent going into it, like you have no idea, do you? I'd probably just look at the sensei and how the sensei interacts with the children and the class. What vibe are you getting from it? Do they look like they're having fun?
So it's important for the parent to at least look in first, because I imagine a lot of parents don't. They're sort of not that bothered, or for me, obviously, it's do I want to leave my kid with this guy or this guy or gal for an hour every evening? It probably doesn't mean much because there are other kids there. But is it quite? I don't imagine you have many parents request that they watch the class the first time they come.
Well, we will happily let every parent come in and watch the first 2 classes.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, because when you start hiding things, that's when you know you've got something to hide. Yeah. If I say parents come in and I hope that they can see my teaching ability and the fun I'm having with the class, I'm engaging with the kids. I have other teachers come in and they'll be like, you just did a good class. Because they're teachers and they know what makes a good class. Yeah. And I hope that I can show them that. Although I'm a sensei now, I've done other teaching and I use all those principles to put into my karate class. And I hope that they can see that.
Are there any other red flags then? So you've got, the here's your black belt in 2 years, just need to pay us this amount.
That's for me, a red flag. I'm going to say, for me, does your sensei look like a sensei? Does he act whatever you think a sensei should be? I want to say, are they massively overweight? Do they look healthy? Do they look like, and the way they speak to other people, are they polite? Are they this and that? That is a good way as a red flag. If you've got an overweight sensei that stinks, you don't look to. Hey, I'm describing myself. Oh no. No, you got an overweight sensei. They smell. They got bad breath. They unkempt. They not particularly nice to their students. Like, nah, just go away. Go for the other club with the better person, because really those kids are looking up to that sensei, and if that's all they've got to look up to is a low level human, nah. I'm trying to push myself to be a higher level human and get all my students to bring them up with me, whatever that may look like. So you've got the money up front and a belt promised at this date. You've got sensei. Do they look and live and do they live karate? That's one. And another one that people might talk about is like the lineage, or the do they have some
heritage?
Heritage of thingy.
Like a legacy.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that it's not super important.
But it must help, right?
It must help, but yeah, that's a hard one. I'm gonna say it's. Yeah, you need to come. They need to know what they're doing and look like they know what they're doing. But I haven't necessarily trained under any Japanese guys. I haven't even been to Japan, which one day I'm going to change. I don't think that makes me any less of a sensei. It's just because I put my all into what I'm doing, and I'm trying to expand my karate. Some people, they'll go, oh yeah, I was taught by this Japanese guy. And they think that's enough to qualify themselves.
I've also seen it as well, where it'll be, I'm sure I've seen it on some websites for certain schools as well, not in the West Midlands, but it was the sensei who was taught by his sensei, who was taught by this guy who was Japanese, and it's that that they'd really just trying to wring out the last bit of legitimacy from something that doesn't matter to them.
Well, that's it. Do you really care that your sensei was Bruce Lee?
I think one of the main things for me is, can I see that my sensei is still a karateka?
Yeah.
And if I can see, so it's quite easy with you and your brother. I can sort of, I don't have to look far to see that. Oh, your brother practices. You know, he's into his kickboxing. And I asked you the other day, do you still do competitions? Like, do you still? It's a bit like having a personal trainer who goes to competitions. So I used to have a personal trainer in London for weightlifting because I was into it, not because I wanted to get stupidly strong or anything. And it wasn't bodybuilding; it was just deadlift, squat, bench press. But he was doing competitions and going around Europe and doing stuff, and that matters. You know, to me, even if he was a nice guy as well. It's sort of the nice guy plus, is he a person I want to be?
Yeah,
actually, I want to be like that guy.
That is a big part, and yeah, do you want to turn into your sensei? If you look at them, I think someone like my dad, if everyone had a little essence of my dad, I think that's a good thing. And you know, I'm on my journey to become that same outstanding person. So I guess is your sensei still developing themselves? I think is a good one. If you got a stale sensei that just turns up to do it, you don't want to stick at that. But then, you know, I'm lucky. I'm a full-time sensei. Some people have jobs to go to, and they're this in the day and then something else in the evening. But I don't think that should take away from what they're doing. I think a good karateka and a good sensei, you know, even if they have to go work in the day and then come to karate in the evening, that doesn't make them any less of a sensei. Are they trying to live by the principles that they're talking about? I think that's the most important thing.
I think for variety as well. So how important is variety, and the reason I bring that up now is if you had a sensei who work a desk job 9 to 5 and then comes and teaches, all of a sudden that you come to class and you might say, I was trying this thing out this morning yesterday, and that's like, oh, that's nice, you still, I say that's nice, but it's just it reconfirms that you still do karate, you're still the real deal. If you have someone who works a desk job, works in a corporate environment, they probably have something to bring that is, I had this situation earlier, and this is how karate helped me. But obviously here you've got variety because you've got more than one sensei. How important is the variety? Can you, do you need to worry about joining a school that only has one sensei?
I think we're luxury here to have 3, and I think if you've got one good sensei, that's good. I think if they fit your bill. Yeah. I mean, some senseis would naturally tend to, like I'm more kata, bunkai, kind of person. So I'm going to naturally kind of do more heavily weighted on there. But I know because I've got my brother, if he's going to do a class, he can now swing next week to the more kumite side and the fight. If it was just me, I would have to make it a bit more even out. So there are advantages of the variety there. If you've got a good sensei, like my dad, he tries to cover everything. And I feel like in my dad's classes, he does so many different activities in 1 hour. I don't know how he fits it in. For me, I feel like my time goes. And when I'm in my dad's class, we constantly doing different things. And we work our leg, and then we're doing a bit of kumite, then we make that into kata, and now we're trying some self-defense, and then we do some stretching, and then all in one class.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah. One I've just thought of, because we've had an hour now, I think. I wanted to move on. It's very easy, yeah. But the community, and I've seen this more in the last 6 months amongst the older guys join, because we were mainly kiddie heavy, and then we wanted to push the adults. I think we made a couple of changes here and there, and over the last 6 months, our adults have like maybe doubled we still don't have loads, but we had
doubling from like 2 or 3 to
well, I mean,
7 almost, right?
my Monday evening class that you come to used to have 2 or 3 adults on it every week for a long time, and I've been doing that maybe for a year.
Okay.
And in the last 3-4 months, it's gone from what's average 6, 7.
Yes, it feels like more adults than. It's like this is the adult class.
Yeah.
It's not officially. It's like
well, that one is on the Monday.
But okay.
Yeah, but then
you still get some of the sort of mid-teens come in, and that their demeanour is like very senior as well. It's it doesn't disrupt anything.
And that's what's great. Like the guy I think we're both thinking of, he is stepping up now to be that the big guy that I want him. I've always wanted this guy to be. But yeah, even the Wednesday class, it was more like a weird mix of like young teenagers, and now I've got more big guys, and this is why I think I'm preferring it more, because these big guys are creating that community and are kind of bringing up the level of maturity of the class.
Yeah.
So for someone like you, who joined recently, what is the community, the importance of that to having a good?
I didn't think it was that important initially. I think the main thing was that I wasn't coming into a class full of black belts, which is almost uncontrollable in a way. But it was fortunate that there were, I remember at least two other adults that quickly I identified like, oh, they're white belts as well. Great, I'm sort of joining at the right time. Yeah. That was quite important initially. I get on with people anyway. But it was the camaraderie now is part of the reason that I want to come to class. It's almost like I don't want to, I feel accountable to them, even though I can't actually quantify that. Like I'm not, but I don't want to let them down, and I don't even know what I'd be letting them down for. But I feel like I need to be there to support. I feel like I've got something to offer within our, sort of belt colour circle almost. Not that we're, you know, not that that's us and only us, but definitely within the adults, it's something that you don't really get so readily elsewhere, where adults, maybe it's a British thing, but where adults are quite open, and you know, you sort of come into my house, welcome, that sort of thing. It's like I come in, we're all naturally, you know, if another adult joins, it's like, oh, come on in, sort of thing. Or even some of the younger ones as well, especially the teenagers. I've said to you, like, I now feel like as an adult, I can sort of, even if they're a higher grading, I can push them a bit more and help in that way. But also, it builds camaraderie, and you sort of, I remember as a teenager, if an adult addressed me specifically, that was quite a big deal. And it you know, it goes right down to, as a kid, if you're at the dinner table and the adults aren't speaking to you, or if you go out with your parent or parents and you're in a adult social environment, you probably aren't getting addressed that much, and you feel like you've got a lot to say, or you like, because you're a kid, you like talking about what you're into, whether that be insects or racing cars or something like that. So to be able to give that back as well is probably the bit where I feel like I need to be at class, so that if so and so and so and so turn up, I can give them a pat on the back, say hello, say goodbye, and you sort of see their face. You know, they'll have come from school, they'll be like, you know, a bit down and or whatever. They maybe they are a bit tired, whatever. I'm like, hey, you all right? How you doing? Sort of thing, and they light up, and it's a big deal, and it doesn't take much to realise that can mean a lot more to them than it does to you.
I have. For me, that's the most rewarding thing. I've got one of the guys that you know. Was it after maybe we had a private class together or even a lesson, and he said to me, like, Sensei, after that class yesterday, I absolutely destroyed it at work. I had the best day at work. And that, for me, that is why I do my job. I try and bring the best out of people. Do you know what I mean? So now he does like a high performing job. He's a clever guy. So if I can make him do his job better, just from a bit of stretching and fighting from the day before, perfect. I have these young teenagers, especially like the girls. I think they're more also expressive about it afterwards, but they'll come in like this hard day of school, and afterwards they're beaming, and Sensei, I feel great now. I've got a particular young lady in mind, and like when I see her happy and to tell me that she feels better now, it really builds me up, and that's what I'm there to do. And I think also we talked about the community bit, like when you've got higher grades and they can come and speak to you, and they can be like, yo Chris, how you doing? Welcome to the class. Are you new here? Tried it before? I think that's another good sign. Like, what are the high grades? How are they making you feel?
That's a big one for me. Like the all of the high grades I've seen, I'd be more than happy to walk up to them, and we're in close quarters anyway, but just ask them, do you think I'm doing this right? I'd be shocked if I got like a sort of leave me alone type body language. Definitely.
I remember after last class we had the high grade, the lady that high graded in that class. She took all of you guys for your next kata. Right, you've just been graded, and you're there. I think it was her in the middle, two on either side, all practicing your iron knee down together. And I was like, yes, this is it. And you're bouncing off each other to create, to build each other up, and I love it, and I love seeing you guys develop. And I think we've had the best set of white belts and adults and attitude for a long time. It's great. I wonder if there's anything. I mean, we've been going for an hour and 15-ish. I think we've covered a lot of stuff. I think it's been good. Any final comments?
No, I think we've covered it. I know what I like to get from a school. I think you guys give that in buckets, and I think to summarise, I think all of that is going to be applicable to from my own experience, I know if I've gone to a fitness class, like I say, if I've had a personal trainer, all of those things are the same. Even joining a gym, I mean, it's coming up to January, people are either rejoining or going joining a new gym. If you go there and the people there aren't really helpful, especially as a guy, I might go into the weight section and people are using a bench and I'm like, oh, can I borrow that? When I had there was a certain gym I was at in London, in Putney, and I felt like I even asked people, as someone who had been lifting weights for a few months, I was like, oh, can you spot me? When I'm on the bench and they're holding the bar to make sure I don't crush myself because it's a heavy weight. That's something you don't get in most environments. So to have that is sort of worth its weight in gold. It's definitely applicable to other areas. That
community and friendly vibe, because we just now sit on the bus or on the train and we're all locked in, aren't we? Here, and for us to go, yo, we don't know each other. Let's like help each other is such a good thing. Yeah, and you are right. I think a lot of these principles we talked about do work for a yoga school, for your kids' grammar school they're going to go to, or the gym, or even football or whatever. Yeah, definitely.
It's not just what makes good karate school, it's what makes good community.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm trying to think, because I'm thinking when I was in China and I started to study, I was doing some jiu-jitsu and I was doing some Chinese boxing, sanda. I was doing something else as well, Thai boxing as well. So I was training like 3 different martial arts. And what did I like the most about that? Why did I keep going back? I don't think it was good as what we do here, to be honest. The difference the most is that it seemed to me like some of the sensei, it just felt like a job to them. Just the way they'll tell you to run around the room 10 times. That don't feel me. Okay, all right. When I say let's run, we're running together, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, you're running behind us. Like, I'm gonna get you, and I'm like, no.
And maybe that isn't. I wouldn't expect necessarily my dad to do that, but it's the attitude, and you can feel it. And if I'm like running, feeling bad because this guy looks like he can't be bothered, for me that's the thing I don't like the most. So I'd really. It starts with the sensei, really, doesn't it? Yeah, I think. The teacher, whoever's in charge. And
leaders,
The leaders, yeah. And you just need to look at their character and see if that's the person you want to become. Or if you want to take a bit of their essence and put it in. Yeah, cool, wicked. So we'll wrap it up there. Are we going to make a commitment for next week or for what we're going to do?
Let's do that. Let's do it on the spot.
On the spot, yeah. So
Live.
So this is our planning stages. We said we got questions with Kiyoshi, which is going to be hopefully our next recorded episode. Yeah. We have I wish I had Akio book. I wish I had the book here to show you. It was the Kyohan by Gichin Funakoshi. He was the guy that started Shotokan Karate, our style. He wrote a book about his thoughts and ideas. So me and Chris would like to get more into the philosophical and the literature into it. So maybe not this week, maybe the week after, we can so maybe from now start reading it. Do you have the book?
Yeah.
Wicked. So we'll both. Do you have that version of it as well?
Hopefully. Okay. Let's see next week.
I bought another version.
Well, you didn't say that.
Yeah. There was another version and it isn't as good. I bought it on Amazon and I thought it was going to be good. It wasn't as good. I sent it back. I got this one instead. Yeah. So the idea would be for us to go through that and maybe spend a week or 2 reading a section and just to break it down and see what we can learn, or just see it as a review, or if we disagree or agree with anything.
Yeah. So and see what karate was meant to be about during its conception, and see what it is now as well.
Yeah. And
see, are you guys hitting the target, or are we hitting the target, sort of thing? Are we making sure that this is, if that is sort of like the manual of karate, are we following the instructions, and are we?
Is it still applicable to today.
And should we be?
Yeah.
You know, what bits can we challenge?
So
that should be interesting.
That would be a nice learning, studying, exploring episode. So we've got questions with Kyoshi, we've got the Kyo handbook, and then we would like to do something like question and answers for us.
Yes.
Q&A with us from you, the viewers. So we would have to start uploading though first, wouldn't we? So hopefully by the time we've uploaded a few of these, we can start pushing forward.
But luckily, we've got a good base of students who are.
Yeah.
A lot of them are curious.
Yeah.
As am I. But,
Yeah.
So that's a good place to start.
Cool, wicked. I'm gonna tell you to karate chop that like button wherever you see it, and I want you to do a mawashigeri on the subscribe, and I want you to do a shirageri on the bell notification thing. And I want you to have a great day.
What can they do to leave a comment and a review on the podcast?
They can definitely shianukate that comment.
I was going to say that. No, I wasn't.
Yeah, so yeah. Be good for if you do have any questions you want to put feedback in. That's it's appreciated, I think. And we would, if we can change anything or adapt it and address certain things.
Or if you want to be on the podcast.
Yeah, if you're really good at karate or even not, and you think you are worthy of the hot seat, you can come if you'd like to. If you've got any tea to send us,
Yeah. P.O. Box.
P.O. Box Zenshin Martial Arts Academy. Yeah. We would be happy to try some great tea. You're going to bring in your tea next time.
Correct.
Some fancy teas that you bought. And we're going to compare them from their more packaged Western teas, would you say?
Yeah.
Compared to
the Western palate.
Yes, where this is just straight up a bag of leaves that I've got from China. And this is nicely packaged. Does it have a tea bag or is it loose?
No, it's loose.
Okay,
least,
wicked. Yeah. So we'll see the quality and difference. I think that'd be quite exciting.
Yeah.
And
flavour.
And flavour, yeah. Wicked. So that's fun. Us, have a great time. See you next time. Us. Hello, and thank you again for listening to the podcast. I really enjoyed talking about what makes a good dojo with Chris today. If you have any ideas, maybe you agree or disagree, please write it in the comments. Give a like if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a review. All these things we really appreciate and will help to grow and make our channel better. So we've got a special episode for you next time. But until then, have a great week. Us.